In 1978, China was one of the poorest countries on Earth. The average Chinese citizen earned less than $200 per year. 80% of the population lived in rural areas, farming with basic tools. The country had just emerged from the Cultural Revolution, a decade of chaos that destroyed schools, persecuted intellectuals, and set the economy back by years. Then Deng Xiaoping took power. He visited Singapore in 1978 and saw something that shocked him. A small city-state with no natural resources had achieved prosperity, while China, with its vast land and population, remained impoverished. He returned home convinced that China needed to change everything. In 1979, Deng opened 4 special economic zones. These were areas where capitalism was allowed to operate. Foreign companies could build factories, hire workers, and export goods without the usual communist restrictions. The first was Shenzhen, a fishing village of 30,000 people next to Hong Kong. Western companies saw an opportunity. China had hundreds of millions of workers willing to work for wages that were a fraction of what Americans or Europeans earned. Manufacturing began moving there rapidly. First came toys and textiles, then electronics, then everything else. The results were staggering. Shenzhen grew from 30,000 people to over 12 million in 40 years. It became the manufacturing hub of the world. By the 1990s, if you bought a product in America, there was a good chance it said "Made in China" on it. But China didn't just copy. In 1986, the government launched the 863 program, investing billions in advanced technology research. They sent hundreds of thousands of students to study at American and European universities. Many returned home with knowledge and connections. The government had a clear strategy. When foreign companies wanted to sell in China, they had to form joint ventures with Chinese companies. They had to share their technology. Boeing wanted to sell planes. Fine, but they had to help build factories in China and train Chinese engineers. In 2001, China joined the World Trade Organization. This was the turning point. Suddenly, Chinese goods had access to markets everywhere with reduced tariffs. Foreign investment poured in even faster. Between 2001 and 2008, China's economy nearly quadrupled in size. The Chinese government invested heavily in infrastructure. They built the world's largest high-speed rail network. They constructed entire cities. They dredged ports and built roads connecting the remotest villages to manufacturing centers. The scale was unprecedented. In 3 years, between 2011 and 2013, China used more cement than the United States used in the entire 20th century. Education became a national priority. In 1978, China barely had any universities functioning. By 2020, China was producing more STEM graduates than the United States and Europe combined. They weren't just quantity either. Chinese students consistently ranked at the top in international assessments. Then came the technology push. The government identified key sectors: artificial intelligence, quantum computing, semiconductors, electric vehicles, renewable energy. They poured state funding into these areas. Private companies received subsidies, tax breaks, and guaranteed government contracts. Huawei started as a small trading company in 1987. By 2020, it was the world's largest telecommunications equipment maker, competing directly with American companies. DJI came to dominate the global drone market. BYD became one of the world's largest electric vehicle manufacturers. China also invested in soft power and global influence. The Belt and Road Initiative, launched in 2013, involved infrastructure projects in over 140 countries. China built ports, roads, and railways across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. It came with strings attached, giving China economic and political leverage. The military modernized rapidly. In 1990, China's military was massive but outdated. By 2020, it had stealth fighters, aircraft carriers, advanced missiles, and cyber warfare capabilities. Military spending increased every year for 3 decades. The numbers tell the story. In 1980, China's GDP was $300 billion, about 6% of America's. By 2020, China's GDP reached $14.7 trillion, roughly 70% of America's. In purchasing power parity terms, which accounts for what money can actually buy in each country, China's economy became the world's largest around 2016. China became the world's largest manufacturer, largest exporter, largest trading partner for over 120 countries. It held over $1 trillion in U.S. Treasury bonds. It dominated global supply chains. If China stopped exporting, factories around the world would shut down within weeks. The transformation happened through a combination of factors: a massive, disciplined workforce, a government willing to invest in long-term infrastructure and technology, strategic policies that extracted knowledge from foreign companies, educational investments that created a skilled population, and crucially, access to Western markets and technology during the period of opening. By 2025, China isn't just competing with America. In some areas, like electric vehicles, solar panels, batteries, 5G networks, and certain AI applications, it's ahead. It's building a global network of economic dependencies through trade and infrastructure investments. It's developing military capabilities that challenge American dominance in the Pacific. The rise happened in less than 50 years. One generation took China from poverty to superpower status. It's the fastest economic transformation in human history. That's not rhetoric. The scale and speed are historically unprecedented. This is how China became a superpower, not through ideology or inspiration, but through pragmatic policies, massive investment, strategic planning, and leveraging its greatest asset, over 1 billion people ready to work toward national advancement.